Hey guys, welcome on back to the AnKorage, and this is AnKorage Extras. And we've recently had a video regarding my monitors and stuff like that, and I gave a brief little overview of the machines and stuff like that. So I'm going to update my Workstation update from earlier this year. It wasn't too far back, but why don't we do that? Alright, so we're going to start down here on the floor. So, yep, I'm on the floor again. But, I just take it slow, whatever. Anyways, so, way over here, we have my Dell Precision T3500. It's a Xeon processor, 15 or 16 gigs of RAM, probably 16. I have named it Cobalt. This used to belong to an associate of mine from my high school days, very loosely, but I'm friends with his wife. He passed away, and she was moving out and asked me if I could help bring stuff from her one place to a new place that she had moved to. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I went in there and I'm like, there's this machine and there's one other. It's in the bedroom, actually. I asked, what are you going to be doing with these machines? And she's like, I'm just going to be throwing them into the garbage. And I'm just like, I would feel much better for the sake of data issues. Why don't I take these and properly wipe the drives? And she agreed to that, so I took them. So here's this one. And I've retrofitted it, as you see, and I've renamed it to Cobalt. The drive has been wiped, it's back inside, it's completely empty, ready for a new operating system, and like I said, I named it Cobalt, which is a Battlestar reference, and the reboot, not the campy, preachy original one, or whatever. It's yeah, that one was good, but the reboot from 03 to 09, big fan. So I want to keep it for possibility using as a home server / home lab kind of thing, but I have no timetable for that. My main concern is the power draw for the power supply on the thing. So if I can do it with something smaller that uses far less power, then I want to do that. But the main thing is this guy. This is my printer. I originally had an HP DeskJet 2050 that I purchased back in 2011, and I just recently gave it away to that friend, whose husband passed away, because she needs to print. She's always needing to print stuff off related to his passing. So I went ahead and I said, here, why don't you just take that? I'll get a new one at some point. Well, I just recently got this. It was gifted to me by my elderly neighbors for helping them out and stuff like that. It's an HP Envy 6055. Unfortunately, it's white, but, it is what it is. I don't have a timetable on fixing up the look of it or anything like that. So it's just like, yeah, I've already got it in my head, but it's I'm just not in any rush. So being an Envy, it's effectively a business machine, and of course, with today's day and age and everything that consumers such as myself, according to the government, we are a business, we are a corporation. Says so right on your social security card. So there you go. It's a secret. It's a secret way. So that's neither here nor there. That's a different issue altogether. So I've got it here. It's all prepped up, but I don't have it hooked up to my system, and you'll see why. All right. Well, I'm still on the floor, but I moved over to the bottom of the desk. So here we have my two main machines. They're decorated up a little bit. I've gotten, they're RGB capable, but I don't run RGB on them, and it's only for the fans that are on the inside, and they're not all that great. So I'm not into RGB, so I actually unplugged the wires, because, you know, these cases are Chinese deep cool cases, and they're from, I don't know if you could really call them budget cases, but they don't really cost that much in the big scheme of things. These days you could still get these, but they're like 75 to 100 bucks brand new, somewhere in that range or whatever. But in either case, the left one there, you know, I've got some matte lacquer sprayed on the front here, except the very top, and then down bottom I've got a vinyl decal that I put on there. It's of the Battlestar Galactica Colonial Phoenix, and it's in green, channel color, and so I did that. And that is a replacement case that I purchased off of eBay. I got it for like 40, 45 bucks, somewhere in that range. But given the shipping involved, it came from the left coast, west coast, California, Southern California. And it couldn't be sold in retail because it's got some surface rust along the upper vent area. Yeah, I basically removed most of that using some WD-40. You can see my previous video on that. But the machine as a whole was originally I somewhat featured at the beginning days of my channel. It's a micro ATX motherboard, so inside of here it's a tiny little thing. This case is for a mid, you know, a regular ATX or even an eATX, the big ones. It's capable of holding one of those. But so I've got this little computer in there. It's a little motherboard, and but this thing is punching out all kinds of duties. It is my Linux Mint Debian Edition machine. It's my daily driver, and it does all kinds of stuff. And on the top of these, you can see a couple of fans. I've got those blowing air backwards because the top are the exhausts, and I don't want hot air coming up into my face and drying out my eyes. So I've got those two fans blowing air backwards, and they're connected for power through USB on the back of the motherboard. So they're running all the time, even when the machine's down. The USB ports are hot as far as always on electrically, so they provide power 24/7, and that's good. And so I've got all of that, and these are underneath my desk, and because the space is a premium in this condo, formerly an apartment, so literally this is the only place this can go. And in between, way in the back against the wall, you can see a whole bunch of cables. Yeah, cable management is it doesn't apply here from a practical standpoint. It only goes so far. You know, for me and stuff like that, it's like, you know, if I'm going to do proper cable management, I need longer custom cords or cables, and I can't afford that. So it's just strictly, it is what it is, and if, you know, I need to have open access to them at all times, even if I don't happen to access them all the time. I still need the capability to get in there. I know what they are. I know how they're arranged. /mess. But there's also a KVM switch cabling back there that which just amplifies the mess by 3 times. So it looks far worse than it actually is. So, but in either case, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's back there, out of the way, and I've only got the width of this desk to work with, literally, because like I said, space is a premium here. So this guy on the right this is what I've titled Odin, and it's like these are named after battle stars. Now, the left one, that one is named Solaria. That is a battle star in the Battlestar canon, and it's an older. It's in the reboot. It's the older style of Battlestar. So that would make sense considering the specs for it. Micro ATX board, a Ryzen 5 3600, 16 gigs of RAM, stuff like that. And when I first purchased it, it came with an SSD, and that was only like a 500 gigs or something like that. And it has an NVMe port on the motherboard, so I populated that with a replacement SSD, an NVMe SSD, and I loaded Linux Mint Debian Edition onto that at 1 terabyte using a Patriot branded SSD, and it actually has a heatsink on it, I believe, should, and just using the stock RAM on it that I got originally. If you want to see the original case that I had, go back to the beginning of the channel and you can see me messing around and dealing with that. But you get to see it a little bit. You get to see me doing my retrofying of it and stuff like that. Well, that case is gone. That I just e-wasted that thing. It's just a, completely empty. It was just a metal case that I had up on the shelf. So we did that. But this guy, back onto this guy, onto Odin. This is for in the reboot Battlestar. It would be for the Battlestar Odin, which is not canon. That is a name that I came up with for a Mercury class Battlestar, the latest and greatest Battlestar class out there, stuff like that. And I'll say that it got destroyed in the Cylon attacks way back at the beginning of the show. We never hear of a Battlestar or anything like that, so that's not canon. That's my own creative freedom going on with that. But this thing, this thing here was when I purchased it. I purchased both of these from Newegg originally, so they're an SI system integrator, and what do they call it? The Battle Station computers, whatever. Excuse me. But this thing has an ATX from a ATX motherboard from ASUS, and it's got an Intel 10th gen of, let's see, it's a 10th gen i7. I mentioned in the previous video, but it's an F processor, which is fine. 700F, I believe it is, and it does very well. It came with 16 gigs of RAM, but I upgraded it to 32, and it's got an NVIDIA RTX 3070 in it versus that one, which has a GTX 1660 Ti. So being a Linux box, whatever. This thing's got a 3070 in it, and I played one game. I previously mentioned in the last video, it's World of Warcraft. That's it. There's a couple other Blizzard games out there, but I don't really go onto those at all. I've got the old StarCraft, and I've got Hearthstone, and I've got one of the recent ones. It's an FPS, first-person shooter game. I forget the name of it right now, but I've got that. That is on Windows 10 currently. Excuse me. And Windows 10 support is disappearing in October. So the last day for any updates is October 14th. And as of the 15th, not getting any more. Nope. So this is not going to be staying at Windows 10. They want everybody on 11. Now that's a funny thing, because when I first got this thing, it said, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, yeah, do 11, do 11, do 11." Windows 10 was telling me constantly, "Do 11, go ahead and upgrade." Blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't do that because I don't want all of that data collection, and them telling me when I'm going to be receiving their updates. It's just stupid, and trying to push the whole concept of I don't own my machine. It's right here. I bought it with my money. I own the hardware. It is my machine, period. And what operating system I've got running on it is my prerogative. So after a little while, it started to say that it wasn't Windows 11 capable. And I'm like, you can't backpedal like that. You can't say it's good and then start saying it's not. So either way, I wasn't going to be going to 11 on the thing anyways. But this thing is going to be upgraded to Linux Mint Debian Edition, like that machine. That's on version 6 right now, LMDE 6 FE. However, LMDE version 7 is coming out later this year, probably in November or December. And so I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. And I am going to be upgrading this machine to LMDE 7 about a month after it's released. So that's to give the Linux Mint team time to work out any release bugs and stuff like that. And then I'll get this thing upgraded to that. But what am I going to do about Windows? My game can only play on Windows. And I've determined that is true. It can only play on Windows because of how Blizzard has their programs set up, stuff like that. So, it needs a, call it a brother piece of software, sister piece of software, an additional piece of software where everything gets launched from. And the thing is that in a Linux environment, yeah, you could have the applications in there, but they won't talk to each other. So that's the problem. So the solution is, yeah, I'll get LMDE 7 on there, and then, well, yeah, I'll get Windows 11 on there in a virtual machine. Right behind me in this drawer, I've got a USB with the install all ready to go. I'm ready to do it right now if I want. But I'm going to wait until LMDE 7 comes in because this is my video processing box. These videos get processed on Odin. So they are going to continue to be, but in the Linux environment, because why not? That's a better OS in my decision. There's no tracking, no data collection. I get to customize my desktop, including the start button logo picture. I can update that. Windows, they want to shove that Windows icon in your face. So, they're like, they want you to know you're using our software. Linux Mint, because it's Linux, is like, do what you want. Make it yours. Yeah. It's Linux is safer. It's, it's not 100% safe, but it's about 99.9% safe. So, no need for antivirus because the market share for Linux is so stinking low. It's less than 10%. So it's here in the States at least. It's less than 10% here in the States. And that's not where all of the hacker or, malware money goes. The ransomware, stuff like that. There's no money in that. So Linux is safe here. Windows is the top one to hack. And it's horrendous. So I'm going to do a virtual machine with Windows 11, and I've got that all handled, carried in through 4. Now, something that Microsoft does have that actually is not that bad is their Defender antivirus. Over the years, it's gotten pretty much just as good as any third-party antivirus software out there. So there's really no need to have additional antivirus on the system. However, because of business agreements and stuff like that, they're still going to push Norton, McAfee, things of that sort, as bloatware in your installs. So whether you buy a new machine or you download the ISO or through the media creation tool or anything like that. So this is going to be a Linux machine within the next 6 months. So yeah, it's going to take some effort, but and of course I've got all my data. All my channel data is on an NVMe drive in there, and I'm like, yeah, it can stay there. I'll just remove it when I go to do my upgrade. Then I'll stick it back in there, and then when I've got it, I'll be able to access it from Linux, and I'll be able to access it from Windows on the virtual machine. So there we go. And yeah, so those are these two machines. This is the way they've been for a long time, and this is the way they're going to be for a long time coming. Alright, so now we've moved over to the desk. I'm actually off the floor now. I'm so much happier. Got a little tinglies in my fingertips just from being on the floor. That's not overly comfortable, but it is what it is. So coming back up here, I'm going to back up a little bit. And so this is really the main reason why I'm doing this video, because I just finished my, I don't know if you really call it an upgrade, but my reconfiguration, thing of that sort. But here is my studio mic. It's on a boom, and it's got good studio quality. You can see it when you're watching videos where I'm using this webcam into the shot. You can see my set decorations in the background, and now you can see the flag of Acadia back there. Talk about that some other time, but this area is the main reason for this video specifically. It's all nice and cleared off. It's probably not going to stay like this all the time, but relatively close. I mean, I keep a spare Roku remote up here from when I'm sitting here and want to play with the TV, which is right over that way. Get my glasses here, stuff like that. I've got two of these. These are USB cables that these are the gray ones. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but it's gray. I took a dry erase marker, and I was able to get the ink embedded into the sheath because it was gray and black. So, but the channel colors being green, and it's actually started to become my personal favorite color, even though I've got the rusty orange as my personal color, which is fine. I'll still use that, but my current favorite is the green. So do that, and we've got USB-C on one end, and then on the other one we've got a micro USB, and they've got their purposes. So I just keep those back here out of the way. I plug my tablet into this every night to keep it charged up, and then I just throw it to the side. And then we've got the desk. This is the wrist rest that came with this keyboard, and it's magnetic. It just sticks on there, and so what it was black, but I recently spray painted it the brown because earthy colors, and gave it also a couple of coats of a lacquer. Matte lacquer, so I like to have it like that. This is an EVGA X17 gaming keyboard. It's got the green RGB setting right now. I can change that if I wish through some software that I have on Windows, but I like it like this, and it's been working great like this, so I keep it just like that. So push this over. This is an X20 EVGA mouse. Works just fine. I had bought one for the other person that's living here, and it got broken. Apparently, too rough on it. So, and then, this soundbar was originally down here, but I decided, or I figured out, I could have it up there, out of the way, in a more appropriate spot. And of course, this is the base of this monitor, and I'll talk about the monitor in a second, but the base of it, this whole stretch underneath here is orange, and then it clashes. So I retrofied it with a little piece of contact paper. It's got wood grain on it, looks much better. It's got that brown, much more appropriate, much more desirable, a lot more comfortable, and a lot prettier in my eyes. So, this monitor is a BenQ monitor, and I traded for it, and with the friend of the other person that lives here, and it's a gaming monitor. It's got multiple inputs, 2 HDMI's and 1 display port. Now, I don't have a display port cable. I talked about that in the previous video. However, I've got both Solaria and Odin plugged into this thing through the video cards, and it's easy to switch between them. I just hit a button back here, and I just go like that and hit that, and I can switch over to the other box. The Windows box is not on right now because I don't need it on. It goes back because it didn't see anything. So there we go. And it's HD capable, so it has, or HD, yeah, it's display ports. The display port is inherently HD anyways. HDMI technically kind of sort of is. But, this can emulate, further HDRI. And there's a button, you got the badge for it right here. There's a button for it right here where I can pick it. So, and you can do it per input. So for my Linux side of it, I don't need HD on this, and it doesn't need to be operating faster than 60 hertz. This thing is capable of running 165 hertz. But being this on the Linux side, on the Linux box, I don't need all that functionality or options or whatever. So, it's just standard video and running at 60 hertz, and it's more than satisfactory and stuff like that. On Odin, I actually run it at 120 hertz, which it's looking like, because I'm not a pro on it, excuse me, I'm not a pro on it or anything like that, but I think HDMI is maxed out at 120 hertz because that was the highest that I could pick for, for video quality and for refresh rate. So I'm fine with that. Whatever, it runs just fine. And I do have the HDRI emulation running on that as well. It just makes it a little sharper. It's nice and clean. And things move perfectly fine, perfectly gamer, and perfectly acceptable. I say so. Because I'm not a gamer, and it works more than satisfactory for me. Even at 60 hertz, it would have been, stuff like that. But I'm like, well, I've got the capability, why not use it? So, why not give myself a little bit of a uptick and stuff like that. And then we've got my old monitor, which is that one there. That one was when I bought Solaria originally, so I've had that for going on 5 years now, or 6 years, so yeah, that one I bought with that. It's $100. It's an Asus. It's only capable of 60 hertz HDMI, and that's perfectly fine. So that one is always connected directly to Solaria using one of the other HDMI ports. So if I'm over on Odin on this one here, I can have something from Solaria up on there, so I can keep an eye on it if I wish. I do that with Matrix. So if I know that I could possibly have to get involved on Matrix, I'll pull it over there, have it up, and then doing my thing over here. And if I see something grab my attention over here, I can easily switch back. I've got my switch for the KVM switch right here. So this is the V part. This monitor handles the V part of it now. So switching between the video between the two machines, and I use the KVM switch to switch the machines over for the keyboard and the mouse. So that's why the KVM is kept, because I need it. So there we go. And then, you know, of course, this is my webcam that I use for my my videos that I do for, you know, when you're seeing my videos from that I'm recording at this station. That's the camera that does it. So there's a little behind the scenes fun fact for you on that one. And let's see, put you back there. And I just cleaned the desk mat yesterday, so it's already getting a little dirty. I'm not concerned about that. And of course, you know, here's this. So, Skál. Anyhow, it's just water. So, yeah, so. And then I got my USB 3 hub here. It's a switchable hub, so I can plug something in and then, you know, leave it off all I want. And then when I need to use something, I can just turn it on, hitting a button. That right there in the front is my that's my hardware key. That's my 2FA, second factor authentication hardware key. So there's that, and it's in the nano style, typically meant for things like laptops. However, I don't want a big tag thing flapping about way up above. It's like, you know, it's aesthetically displeasing to have stuff like that poking up all the time. So I keep that in there, and I'm not going to lose it because that's where it stays. And then I've got these other ones, and then I've got the Wi-Fi. Well, it's not Wi-Fi, but it's a Bluetooth for this keyboard, because this keyboard it's quieter, so I use that. Yeah, I've got a keyboard tray down here, but I don't use the tray other than to hold the spare keyboard. I don't do typing down here. I do it up here. So I'll move this out of the way and I'll type from that keyboard up here when I need to. That's when I have Jitsi running, my video conferencing software. Because this microphone picks up the clackety-clacks all the time. This thing is really good. So when I'm using Jitsi, I'll just use that keyboard during that time because it's quieter. I also make a lot more spelling mistakes with that. So, but neither sense. And then I've got a nano USB drive there, which is its only purpose is to hold my KeyPass XC database. That's it. So there we go. And it's not on my main hard drive, well, on my main SSD or anything like that. I keep the database on that and I access that. And then of course we've got this other thing here. This is going to get moved. I'm going to move that to plug it into Odin. All it does is provide power to the soundbar. So, and I do have a right angle adapter extension, so that I wouldn't have a cable poking up and curling over, you know, aesthetics. But I can remove that and then just plug it directly into the motherboard one of the motherboard USB ports, because Solaria is full because of everything. I mean, that hub is plugged into Solaria. So, yeah. So in general, everything is looking all right. And it's nice and clear, and it's neat, and it's clean, and I like clear surfaces anyhow, so I want to keep it as decluttered as possible at all times. I'm not an anal retentive or anything like that, but I have anal retentive tendencies. So, alright, so why don't we move up and look up at the shelf real quick. Okay, we are going to, let me get this flipped over so I can see it better. Alright. Okay, this part I'm going to have to stand up for, so, but I'm leaning against the desk. for balance, because I have balance issues. But here is a couple of Tums, because, you know, I might get a little bit of acidity in the stomach, so I keep a couple out, about neither sense. So let's see. You might hear the air conditioner. So I keep a remote up here. I have two of these. One is on the camera being used right now, and this one is spare, but I use it here because I don't like using this ring light because it's daylight intensity, and it makes me look like I'm a mortician, or or like I'm half dead. But this one is, you know, it's got some warm color to it, so and I can adjust it. And this was a recommendation because I asked my associate Tom, and actually he's a friend now. So I asked him what he uses, and he said, "Oh, I got a couple of these. Got these really cheap, so I got two of them for like 20 bucks." So I use one on the camera, and I'll use one here. I've got two hard drives right here. These are actual hard drives. They're portables, and this is so that if you know, being in a condo complex like this, if I have to evacuate, I hear the fire alarms or something like that, I have to evacuate, I can just pull these up, unplug them, throw them in my pocket, and away I go. Boom. Yeah, because I've got sensitive personal data in here. Not so much on this one. This is an extra, but I wanted to have it because it's some cold storage for my systems, for system backups and stuff like that. And there's actually drive images on this. It's 4 terabytes each. This is the recent router that I had to purchase. Recently purchased router. It's very basic. I can't run custom firmware on it. I will upgrade this sometime within the next year. But it's working just fine right now, so I'm not concerned about it. This is my old modem that I recently had to replace. I think this is actually fine. I think the problem was with the power cable from doing some testing. This is just a spare Raspberry Pi. I keep it up here for display to be like, hey, yeah, this is what a Raspberry Pi looks like. I got 4 of those inside of here. This is a hard drive. Actually, no, this is an SSD. This one is a hard drive because I've got 2 on the first and on the second and the third. These are 4 Raspberry Pis. Boom, 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 boom. And these 2 middle ones are file servers. That one and that one is the storage for those. This one is my crypto miner. I mine Monero using it. And it's very slow. It's just something to do on it. I'm not really too crazy on it, because I had the slot available in the case. And then this one is my Pi-hole instance, and as a whole, it's called Folkvanger, which is a Viking Norse kind of thing, which is the realm that the goddess Freya. This beautiful lady right here, you know, she administrates that realm, and I'm like, hey, why don't we call this Folkvanger? Why not? And of course, you know, I have this just askew because this will reflect light back at the camera, and because it's clear acrylic. I'm going to be doing, I have a video lined up to do where I retrofy the outside of this. So, do that in the future. And then I've got a USB stick that I built here. This has a 1 terabyte SATA SSD in there. And yeah, this is just for whenever I whenever I happen to need it or something like that. It was just something I did a couple years ago, and I do that. This is just a light. You know, it's got a light there, and it's got a light here. This was just something I had that was acquired from Harbor Freight years ago, and it was blue originally. I just recently painted it to this green and Also put a couple layers of lacquer on it just to protect it. And then of course you got my spare CRT emitter from an upgrade that I got for my proton pack. So yeah, so that's that and everything like that. So why don't I actually flip this back over and I'll tilt this up a little bit to get the rest of it. There we go. Okay. So, and of course this is all pretty much the same. This is my Norse shelf, effectively. You know, I've got my crystals, I got a couple of horn cups up here. I've got my runes, my rune thing for casting, stuff like that. We got some white sage. This is white sage. This stuff smells fantastic, so I burn it. Use it to kind of make the place smell pretty, if you wish. My Battlestar shelf. We've got the entire series, plus Caprica and Blood and Chrome up here. Got some chocolate bars that whenever I want to have them. I've had those for a couple of months. So I've got Triad playing cards, which are basically playing cards in a different color, different theming. Got some patches. Got a notebook with the Colonial seal on it. Stuff like that. In the top shelf, I've got what was being marketed as the the last United States silver coinage. Yeah, you could buy those at banks back in the mid '60s when they switched it over. The movement on there is more recent though, because the original broke. It was working, but I think it broke because of me. Can't say, because I can't remember. I've got ICANN 2 up there. They're my mini puffs from Ghostbusters and stuff like that, because they just need to be out. Let me flip this back over so I can see myself at least. No, I can't see myself. Well, there I am. Hi. And there we go. So, yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much everything. Alright, so there we are. There is my addendum to the Workstation update from a little bit back and everything like that. Sorry about the light coming in. I don't have that shut right now, but that's pretty much it. So that is everything regarding that. So, you know, I'm very much proud of my work on these monitors. That was basically driving the motivation to do this. Plus, I just had a medical thing done yesterday, so can't really say my energy, but my motivation's up to get it done. So, and, you know, it'll go back down in a couple of days. Plus, my immune system is shot right now, and I have to keep away from people for a few days. So, what better way to do that than speak at a camera? So that's what I'm doing. That's that thing. I'll do that. But, yeah. So, there we go. But I think what I'll do is I will get back on the floor, which is my own fault, and get that soundbar, USB cord, the power, throw it down to Odin, and get it plugged into the back of it onto the motherboard, and rearrange those items on that hub. So I'll do that, and then I'll just resume my normal daily activities, and which really isn't much. And there we go. So thank you for coming along, and hope you liked it. A lot of people probably took off already, but I hope some people stayed. So if you happen to make it this far, down in the comments, throw a pineapple. And we'll talk to you later. Skál. Stay hydrated with some good water. And Drink it off of out of one of these. These are awesome. I love them.